sorry. Just, testing things out on my end. Why does it still say I'm offline? Hold on, give me one. Let me go to my channel really quick. Hopefully this is copyright free. I mean, if I get muted for any reason whatsoever, I'm just gonna like not play music on my streams. If I get muted for any reason whatsoever, I'm just gonna like not play music on my streams. If I get muted for any reason. Okay, so the sound's definitely working. So that's the good news. Okay. Alright, let's continue. Let me turn down the sound. Hopefully I put it at a reasonable level. I'm not like a professional streamer, so obviously this is me just experimenting. Sure, there's better ways to do it. Okay, anyhow. So what I want to try to accomplish today is to finalize the revamping of the UI. So last time I was streaming, I was able to change out the health bar and even added the avatar for my character. I was even able to change the UI for where the money would show up. So like if you collect coins, the coin bar. Yeah, I don't know why I was having so much trouble saying that. The coin bar was changed. So I was able to accomplish that here. I found a better one, but I couldn't remember where it was, so then I was like, you know what? I think I'm just gonna like keep it simple and just, you know, not change it. I think I'm gonna stick with this model for now. Obviously it's gonna change. It's subject to change, but is it actually gonna change? I don't know. Haven't decided yet. We'll keep that on the back burner though. So then now all we need to do is figure out an appropriate icon for this doohickey here. So let's go ahead and see what we have. Alright, so I have this sci-fi UI pack that I got off the Unity Asset Store. It was on sale too, so it's called Sci-Fi UI Pack Pro. I think it was like 20 bucks or something. But it has all of the shiny elements in it that you would use. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the scene here and wait for it to open. And we're going to go in and actually see what's in there. That's good for this pistol. This is actually the one I wanted to open, not the game view. So I was ultimately thinking to use the same exact one for my coin holder. So I think we're just going to stick with that plan. So first of all, let's actually see what this is. This right here is, we actually highlighted the text here. But what we ultimately want is this whole component. So I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to go to my prefabs. So I'm putting this all in my UI folder. So right now, this is the self circle title blue. So instead of calling it that specifically, what I want to do is I'm going to call this the coin holder, because that's specifically what this is a single purpose component, right? and it's already like linked to the script in some way or another. So I'm going to call this the coin holder. So all we got to do there is just rename this to coin holder. I'll actually do that here. Okay, so now let's create another one of these. So what I'm going to do is just go back here and drag it in here. But we want to keep this intact, right? We don't want this component to be represented as a prefab in this scene. So I'm just going to like unpack this. So I'm going to go into prefab and just unpack completely, or unpack. And we're going to go and edit this component here. So this will be the gun text. So let's actually like, so this is actually like what's going to represent the text of our gun. So like, for example, it could be pistol. TXT gun type. I don't know if that's like the best conventions for Text Mesh Pros, but we'll go with it. Alright, so we're gonna call this, let's just see how it looks first, pistol. And I guess, I was chatting with somebody the other day, I don't know who it was, but I do want to give you props for telling me about this. The way you would actually do it though. Okay, so let's actually like learn about this. Okay, so we got a bunch of circles here and a bunch of circles here. Let's go ahead and add an image or a sprite. Maybe an image, I don't know. Is there an image? Yeah, there is an image. Okay. So we can actually like drag this right here. So right now it's just like a sprite, right? Make it transparent. But let's actually like see what the sprite would be. I do want to pick a different icon for this, but let's see. I'm gonna call it IMG gun icon. And let's see how that looks there. Okay, that looks a little small, so we can actually expand this a bit. Okay, so there's a way you can actually like preserve the aspect. Actually, let's just undo what we just did. And that just means hitting Control Z a bunch of times, apparently. Let's do preserve aspect, so that actually like resizes it. Simple filled. Actually, I don't want it filled. We'll just keep it simpled. Let's make it bigger. Because you have to remember, this will actually like be where our sprite goes. So this is just how it looks right now. But instead of, okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to like change this to gun text. Just as like what shows up on here. This will be the gun icon, which we already like established. Alright, I think that's all we have to do for the year. Let's go back to the prefabs and the UI and the new sci-fi. I have no idea where this came from. Okay, this we don't really need. I don't know why this is even in here. Just delete that because we don't really need it. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go and change the name of this thing. And I'm gonna change it to gun holder. So that actually tells us like what weapon we have. Okay. Okay, so I think we got everything we need in here. So let's go back to our original scene. I don't even know where this is coming from. Okay, we don't need this. I don't know why this... Okay, this was already a prefab to begin with, so... We don't have it saved anywhere, so it really doesn't matter whether we unpack it or not. So I'll just leave that alone. Let's go back to our original scene. Okay, I gotta clean this folder up. I don't really have a concrete plan as to what I actually want to accomplish today. I'm just going off on a whim. Just going with the flow, I guess. I guess what we could do is create more elaborate levels, but I don't know if I want to do that today necessarily. Okay, let's actually look at it. Okay, so now we want to replace this. So we gotta figure out what this specifically is. And so this right here is the current gun. So why don't we like see, okay, so first of all, let's actually look at our UI canvas script here. And we actually like set up headers. And the headers are, okay, so weapons. Okay, so current gun, that's the image. So that's what this is here, and the text. So the image would be, as far as like we're concerned. Hold on, let me go use the bathroom. I need to go use the bathroom. I'll be like right back. Give me 1 second. Alright. Yeah. Should be back. Took me longer. I don't know why it took me longer, but it took me longer. Alright. What I'll do now is I'm gonna continue. I ate Chipotle last night, for context. And as you can imagine, so what happened was I had Chipotle with their hot sauce. Their hot sauce is hot. So I might be in the position where I have to use the bathroom more frequently, so that's just a heads up. Okay. But I like Chipotle. Chipotle's good. So I'm not about to give that up. Alright, so realistically what we have here is the current gun, and that's literally what this is here, the current weapon text. But as far as like what we have to place in here specifically would be the current gun image, which we have from our asset pack. And that's what this would be. And as also the weapon text. So that's literally all we need. Everything else is just for show. So instead of just getting rid of this, let's comment that out, or just disable it for now. I'm going to go into my prefabs folder. Might as well do it here. Actually, we can actually do it here. We'll move this out of the way. Actually, we'll keep it there. I don't know why I'm so indecisive. We'll just move this up. Sorry. We'll just move this up a bit. Very good. Alright, so now let's go into our prefabs folder, into our UI, into our gun holder. That's what this is here. We're going to drag that in. In order for it to actually show up, we had to actually put it here. Let's actually see how it looks in the game. Okay, it looks weird in the scene view, but our players are not going to see what's in the scene view. To them, it's all this is just a black box, so we don't have to explain exactly why our text looks odd when we zoom out. It'll look odd to the developers, but to the actual players, they're going to see this, which is totally fine. Okay, I just want to make that clear. Okay. So now that we have that, let us go back to our script and actually put what we need in here. So in the script, we have it set so that when we acquire a new weapon, it'll actually adjust the icon accordingly and will actually give us the name of the weapon. So that's already set up for us. So all we gotta do here is just provide the right icons. So we just have to change these specific slots. That'll serve us better. Okay, so now the gun text would actually be right here. Okay, so now let us actually try this out. I don't have my controller or anything hooked up, so we're just gonna use the keyboard and mouse, my least favorite control scheme. I actually okay. Let me actually look at this a bit. When you actually play the game, it looks a bit odd. And that's because we're actually seeing a circle. There appears to be an animation on this control, so let's actually go to that control and check out what's going on here. So you got this right here, and this is like a rotation. We don't necessarily want to do that. I don't think any of these other components have that script attached to it, so that one doesn't. This one right here, we just disabled it. That one doesn't either. What about here? Okay, so this is actually what this is. This specific holder for the text, so that's not really relevant here. Okay, so we disabled the component here. We're not going to remove it, we're just going to leave it out. Okay, so this we don't want either, because that actually rotates too. And we're just going to leave that one alone. Alright, but hopefully it's not going to change the size of the image. I also realized something else. It appears that this specific gold, but there's a gold icon shrink. That's my question. It doesn't appear, it doesn't seem to, it just retains its value. Okay, so now let us not preserve the aspect. I guess preserve aspect, doesn't matter. Set native size, it's fine. I don't think I really preserved the aspect of, that's probably like what's causing it to shrink, theoretically. Okay, so that, now it's still shrinking. Why is it still shrinking? What exactly are we doing wrong here? Not gonna lie, I'm a bit perplexed. Okay, so let's ask ourselves this. Why is the new coin holder, the coin icon, which is what this is here, not shrinking? Because clearly, I don't think it has anything to do with the rotation, oddly enough. Because it looks like we already set it to the native size. But we're not changing anything substantial. Oh, I think I know what's happening. It looks like the pivot for this specific image is not necessarily in the right spot. Okay, that's where it should be. And let's just make sure the same applies here. Okay, so we're centering it, but the problem with the other one is that it was set to pivot. And by the way, I only like the name image. We'll just call it gun icon. So that's actually what's going to change it. And if I'm not mistaken, we might have to reassign it here in the inspector. Or not. It doesn't look like we do, because it's already accounted for that change. Okie dokie, let's actually see if this works now. Okay, so it still appears to like stretch it out a bit. So I want to figure out why that is. So the gun icon here. Why is it doing that, dude? Oh, okay, wait. Let me go back here. I don't want. Oh, okay, I see what's happening. I don't want to preserve the aspect. I do want to set the native size, and I do want to center it. So that's fine, maybe. So now let's see if this does anything. Still actually moving it to the left a bit. As for why that is, I'm not 100% sure. I don't think any of these scripts are really messing it up in any way. Okay, so I don't think this is either. The question is, why is this shrinking? Well, it's actually maybe nah, let's not do that. Okay, I'm genuinely not sure. Do you think maybe it's because okay, we don't want it to be filled. I guess we could just set native size, preserve aspect, try those two things and see if it works. Okay, now it's still like showing up all the way here for some odd reason. Let's try moving it here this way and see if that does anything. Doubtful, but it's always worth trying these things. Okay, so I will say this. If you set native size, you're going to have to move it backwards a bit, which is not something we really want to do here. I think I know what the reason is. Okay, so this specific icon here, let's actually like try something. Okay. Why did these all stop showing as prefabs? What did I do? What happened here? Am I in the UI canvas? This should be a prefab, should it not? Here, let's switch to a new scene temporarily. That's not really a scene, that's something else completely different. Why are all these like unpacked? They shouldn't be. Now let's go back here. Okay, so that's what I was trying to fix here. Now, okay, so we're not really setting it explicitly to shrink. We don't really want it to be filled. We'll keep it simple. Do an override, just apply the changes, and see what happens from here. We don't want to shrink though. Okay, let's actually like try resizing it to make sure it. We're clearly doing something here that's fundamentally different. Oh, you know what? I think I know what's going on. The thing is, we're not really setting here. Because I think what's happening is whatever we're doing here is being overridden by what's happening in here. So let's open up this control script. And let's, you know, find this image here. So right now, it's called current gun icon. Alright, so let's actually see what's going on. The way we're setting this is probably like... So player controller instance available guns. Player controller instance current gun. Gun UI. So in our available guns, there's an array that holds the pistols icon. So let's actually like go into our player and actually see what's there. I have the player here somewhere actually. Here we go. So let's go to our player controller, which is where all our stuff is. Okay, so let's go to our pistol. I know this might seem like a merry-go-round, but... Okay, wait a sec, let me go here. We should have a gun UI. Ah, here it is, okay. Okay, so if it's being dynamically set, that means we have to do something else here, because I don't think this will quite work. Okay, so the current gun icon. Does it even have a sprite? Ooh. Is that what this is? A sprite? I guess the question I should really be asking is, do guns actually have, do icons, which is what this is, an image, do images have sprites? Let's do some research here. Figure out how exactly to get what we want. Okay, so then what we should do is we should actually do current gun icon set native size. And that would actually like perform the action of this button here. Now the question is, will it actually do it? That's the ultimate question at the end of the day. I'm not 100% sure. It might not. But wouldn't hurt trying now, would it? Wait a sec. I think I know the problem here. Okay. Maybe we might not have to do this. I'll tell you why. I just realized something. Because this whole image here, specifically this right here, the current gun, that is its own image. And so what we are doing is we're assigning, hold on, this image here to this specific icon here. We don't want to do that, no. What we want to do ultimately is to, what we're actually doing is this. We're assigning the HUD gun icon 0. So instead of doing that specifically, we want to do guns 1, presumably. So let's actually go here and see if that's where it is. Yeah, that's where it is. Okay, so what we want to do is, instead of doing HUD gun underscore icon 0, we don't want to do that. We want to do this. We don't want the HUD element. We just want the gun element. Now the question is, where exactly is it? Like, where is this in our scene? The answer is, it's actually right here. So all we gotta do is just simply drag this and paste it in here. Okay. So, and that kind of makes this redundant, because this will happen anyway. Now, if it still shrinks, then yeah, we'll definitely change it. But for now, let's just test this to make sure it actually works. Okay, so as you can see, the preservation is there. And, you know, the more I think about it, I kind of like this icon. I kind of like this animation. The spinning thingy. It looks nice. Just make sure we can move around. So I think I'll just leave it like that. And I think I want to apply it here as well. So let's go ahead and enable the scripts that do exactly that. Now if it looks totally off, then we're not going to do it for this one, but I do like it for the coin one. I'm just trying to see what it looks like for the gun script. Okay. Save. You should always save your work. Because Unity is sometimes known for crashing. Okay. So yeah, this actually looks a little better. Now you might be inclined to say, well, these two are moving at the same speed, and ultimately it does look a bit... I mean, I don't know. I'll leave it this way for now, and I might have to change it later, but... yeah, we completely revamped the UI. To this, that, or the other extent. So, where do we go from here? Well, so now let's actually clean up our hierarchy just a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to remove this disabled icon because it really doesn't need to be there anymore. We already got what we needed. The coin holder, we'll also remove it because we're not using it. And let's just make sure it doesn't mess up anything up here. It doesn't look like we're missing. So usually you'll know if there's an issue when you see when any of these say missing element. There's usually a missing tag, missing label right next to these, but it doesn't look like that's the case with us, so we're just gonna leave this. So yeah, we didn't really break anything. That's the good news. Okay, let's let's apply our changes here, and let's also apply our changes here, because we want the latest UI prefab to reflect our changes. Okay, so we should be good here. The mini-map thing, I'll leave that alone for now. But where was I even going with this? I don't know. We'll just leave it there. Let's actually see how it looks though, just for the kicks. Okay, so as you can see, when we load the minimap, we're running into a slight issue. Or when we pull off the map, rather, we're running into an issue. What's happening is, it's actually the map that we're trying to load. Why is it even doing this one? Let's just make sure. When you click M, alright, so somewhere, let's go to our player input really quick, just to make sure. Or maybe it's in here. Let's go in here really quick. We gotta figure out why, when we press M, all of a sudden it's showing the map. So where is that even happening? That's what I want to know. And we will have to change that to conform with the new input system. I don't know if I'll do that today, but we'll have to do it eventually. Okay, let's do this. Keycode dot M. Oops. Dot M, rather. Now let's actually see where this is in our project. And this actually isn't a camera controller, apparently. Okay, so now UI controller instance up map display. So what is the map display? Screens. Okay, that's what it is. Screens. By the way, are we even setting this anywhere? Doesn't look like we are. Oh, here it is. Minimap image. And so bib set active is okay, so we disable this. And we enable this. Oh, okay, so we have another camera here called Big Map Camera. And that's all in the main camera here. See, we have like a bunch of cameras here, right? We got the map camera. And we got the Big Map camera. So we're enabling the Big Map camera. And we're not enabling the mini map camera, which is what this is right here. Oh, I'm sorry, the main camera. The main camera is the main camera itself, and the Big Map camera is the Big Map camera. I want to know what this is, though. That might be the mini-map. And it doesn't look like we're referencing this anywhere, so we'll leave that alone for now. Okay, so let's go back here. The map display is actually the object we're setting in the UI canvas. And that's literally the minimap. So the camera is still active, but because it's primarily showing the minimap image, we're not actually like showing anything. Okay, that actually makes sense to me. Like the camera is just a black image. Or it might be, I don't know. Let's see. Let me disable this really quick. What if I make this, or if I enable that? Okay. I don't even know what this is. I don't even know where we're getting this from. I guess all it really does is it shows the minimap image, the texture. So in order for the texture to actually show up on the camera, then it looks like we have to set the camera here as a minimap. Okay. Okay, that actually makes sense to me. I remember, now I actually remember. Okay, so we should not touch this. But this right here is actually like what we should take a look at. As soon as this gets active, are we setting any of the other controls here? So let's think about it this way. The main camera, okay, but it doesn't really seem like, because when you look at the other stuff, like the gun holder and what else is in here? The other icons. So when you disable the main camera and you activate the minimap camera, it's still showing these icons, which we don't want to show. Actually, we should still, I don't know, I feel like that's deliberate. Let's keep them in there. Oh, we want that in there. Okay. So I don't know, I feel like that's fine. I just wanted to understand what was going on when I hit the M button, or where it was even happening to begin with, or whether or not it's even worth hiding these, because I don't really want to hide them. Because as you can see, we know we're in a pause screen because these aren't really animating anymore, and time is at an absolute standstill. Okay. Alright, so yeah, we achieved pretty much everything we needed to. Let's just sit for a moment and think about where exactly we plan on going from here. So we got the UI changes done. That was what I consider significantly important. We definitely got the icons to look correct, so that was definitely also important. I think what we should focus on next is enemy movement, but that's like a completely different animal. I still haven't like figured out, because we don't want enemies just to be there. We want them to spawn, and I have to create a completely new system for that specific action. Which seems like a lot of work right now, which I don't really have the energy to get into. Okay, so now let's think about this. So spawning, that's a completely different animal, which I don't really have the energy. So we're not doing that right now. We're not, oh, yeah, that's right. We should create new input bindings for opening the minimap and stuff. Yeah, I feel like that can definitely be done. And I think, because we already have something like that here. The nice thing about the new Unity input system is you don't have, you can like mix and match where things happen. And what I mean by that specifically is in your pistol, we have the player input action here. Let me actually open the script really quick. Okay, so we have that here. And in here, if the fire action, which is actually what we're assigning here, so we're not directly mapping it. What we're doing instead is we're creating a local variable called private, the fire action, but we're assigning the entire player input as a public object. By the way, we should serialize these, but that's, I'll do that tomorrow. I know it sounds really tedious, but it has to be done, so we'll definitely do that. Won't be today, but it'll definitely be done. As long as we continue going at our snail pace. Which is, there's nothing inherently wrong with that, so just wanted to be clear. Okay, so so we're assigning the fire action at the start of the game. I don't really like this playlist. Actually, let's keep it. I kind of like it. Never mind. Okay. So, realistically speaking, so that we're gonna do the same exact thing. I mean, that's why I was sort of lost my train of thought for a second. Well, what I'm trying to say is we're going to do the exact same thing as we're doing here. So fire action, we assign that at the start, and then when is pressed, that's when we actually shoot the gun. So there is a way we can actually like check to see if an action is performed. Now let's go back to now the next question is where are we going to actually put that? Well, the camera controller seems like the perfect candidate for where exactly the player input goes. So let us go ahead and actually create a serialized field for the player input. Let's just make sure we import the new input system first, because I don't think we really have that imported. I don't know if my editor specifically does it automatically, but I like to do it anyway, just to make sure that it actually does something. Okay, so it would be the input action. Okay, so then, and by the way, this is not a serialized field, but we do want so what this specifically does is irrelevant, because essentially it's going to replace what this is. So we're not checking individual key codes, because whether you press whichever controller I'm not gonna map the controller at the moment, but we're just gonna like, you know. So let's actually go into our player input script, which is somewhere in here. So as you can see, these are our basic actions. We got move, look, fire, dash, and the fire controller here uses the right trigger. The gamepad. So let's create one for open minimap. I always blank on whether or not this is a pass-through, so this is a button. And we are pressing a keyboard button. And I still want it to be M, but we don't explicitly set that in the code. So, and right now we don't really have a binding. Okay, so that would be M. Okay, so in the same exact way, let's think about, let's actually see what we have here. Okay, we're just gonna disable this for now because it's gonna create errors. And right now this doesn't really do anything, so saving this right now wouldn't really make a lot of sense. So let's just make sure we're not. So I'm thinking it's more the. We do have the start button goes to the menu, and common convention dictates that. I don't know. I'm blanking on the name of this button is specifically. It's not the if you're assuming you're looking at an Xbox Series X controller. Here, let me pull up an image. Let me go on Google really quick and see if I can find one because I don't know the name of it. Not sponsored by Target, obviously. I'm talking about this button right here, where my mouse is hovering over. But if any of you know, if you're watching this in the future, if any of you know what it is, please include this in the please don't hesitate to include that in the comments. I'd appreciate it. All right. But ultimately what I'm trying to say is that's where I wanted to, that's the button I want to press to actually open the map. The thing is, we also want to change this. So if you're on a controller, we also want to, instead of just saying, hey, open it then, we also want to make it clear that if they're on a gamepad, to use that button. Alright. So let's go back in here. Let's go back here. Let's just make sure we explicitly say that's a keyboard and mouse binding. So let's add another binding here. Select. Ah, there we go. Or view. I feel like either of these would work, but let's try the gamepad first, and so that if for some reason it doesn't seem to detect it with the gamepad, we can easily switch it to the other one. Okay. Alright, so now we should have a good idea on how to open the minimap. So now let's go back into the main camera and uncomment these slots. Okay, so we need to... I feel like I'm definitely going to forget to do this, but let us... Let's actually go in here. Well, we have to save the script, that's why it's not showing up. Okay. Why is it not showing up? Did I edit the right script? This is presumably the camera controller, is it not? Is it serialized field or serialized field? Sometimes this, whenever something happens, you have to click re-import and it will actually like reload the domain. And apparently that did not work. Okay, so here's the thing. Player, main camera, big main camera, player input. But do we want to do it that way? Let me go back in here and see how I did this. Okay. Input action is a fire action. Okay, that's not what we want though. We want the player input. I did this wrong. That's why it's not showing up. The right input action should be... because otherwise we're actually creating one from scratch, which we don't necessarily want to do. So where do we even get that from there? So what do you even do? Well, if you go into our prefabs, maybe it might be in here. Let's see. Nope, that's not it. Okay, there we go. We should have... okay, so now that we have that in there, we should have a way to extract the open minimap from the start method. So the point I'm trying to make is this. This we want to happen no matter what. So open minimap would be player input dot, what would it be? The exact syntax for that command is right here. So we'll copy this and we'll change it up in here. Alright, so we want the open minimap action assigned to this. But what it's actually called is open minimap. Come to think of it, I don't really like that name because we're not really opening the minimap, we're opening the map. So that we might end up changing that. But for now, this is just testing. We'll end up changing it later once we confirm it actually works. So now what I'm going to do is, instead of pressing M, and by the way, we're going to test this on the keyboard first. Keyboard and mouse control scheme first. And then we'll test it on the gamepad or the Xbox controller. By the way, there's no fire action. Alright, so I think that's all we need to actually set this up. Alright, so original control scheme wouldn't work anymore. But if you play our cards right, we should be able to open the minimap. Yep, just like that. Okay, there's something fishy here. Okay, so it doesn't. We have to see if is press. So what does this press do? Because let's go back here. So I don't think it says pressed. It might be is performed maybe. Let's actually see what's in here. Is we'll try a whole bunch of them. I have never tried this one here. But by the way, let's I don't even know why I had that open in the first place. Okay. So it's not really is pressed. Okay, so this definitely works. Now, let's try it with the gamepad. Yeah, as you can see how smooth that was? Pretty smooth, right? You can actually attach your player scripts to the other script. You just gotta make sure they're in there. Okay. There's a better way to do it, which I'm not going to get into now. We'll have to refactor it. Once we get to the refactoring, we'll change it. But we don't have to assign it in every script. Because if this is a singleton, right? There can only be one active player in every given scene. Okay, so we at least have a way to like open the minimap and the pause menu. Yeah, I mean, that's literally all there is to it. Okay, so while we're on the subject of replacing everything that has to do with the old input system, we can actually like, so let's find every instance where we're using the old input system and switch it out to the new one. Okay, so there's one here, it's called tab. And what exactly are we doing? Well, we're changing guns. And the same principle applies here. And we should actually, I think we should actually use is pressed. I'm pretty sure is pressed is equivalent to get key down. So, you know, same thing. So here we would actually use is pressed. Okay. So let us set that up. So what are we doing? Okay, by the way, what do you think would be appropriate? Sorry. So let's just make sure none of these other buttons are occupied. Okay, so we're using the RB to dash. And I'm not sure what I'm using on here. I think spacebar. Okay, spacebar on the keyboard. And I think we already have that mapped. If not, we have to change it. I'm pretty sure we do, because... Okay, so the dash is literally... RB. And we have that set to like an event or whatever. Now my only... Okay, so because this is happening directly in the player controller script, should we do it in here? Or should we do it the way we've been doing it? I feel like whenever we're checking for input in the player controller script, it will make way more sense to create an event handler. You know what I mean? Rather than like... Because then we can just move all the logic that performs the switching of weapons. So we can move all this logic here. Into that event handler specifically. So that's the rationale behind this. Alright. Or we could stick with orthodoxy and not stick with orthodoxy. We could do it the other way. So I feel like, but it would be a bit inconsistent because we don't want to like assign anything, because we already have like the event handler listening for events. Said events like twice in the same sentence. It's embarrassing. Okay, but so I think it would make way more sense to create a callback context using Unity events rather. Alright, so let us actually get to it. So the first thing we have to do is to obviously create... Let's actually look at the events here. So we got ones for the UI. And we got ones for the player. This we don't really need an event for, but all of this pretty much has their own event context. Because if I were to create an event for this, then I'd have to move all the logic that opens the minimap from here to here. I'm sure there's a way to do it without doing that, but I don't really want to get into it. I thought this is the easiest way. Maybe we can eventually, but I don't know. I don't see the point in refactoring that. I might be wrong about that, but we'll figure it out later. Okay. So now let's create. So we don't have anything to switch weapons, and we're going to use the LB and the tab. The tab is for the so that's fine, but instead of explicitly saying when the player presses tab, so instead of using the old input system, we're explicitly telling it, hey, if you press tab, then do all this stuff. We're going to create an event for it. Let's open this up really quick, and it would actually go in the player. So we're going to call this change weapons. And yes, this would actually be a button. So as you can see, it's pretty much like the dash event. So the dash event is a button, and what do we do here? We have the space, and the right bumper. Same logic here. So we're gonna, well, first of all, we're gonna have to tell it, hey, this is a keyboard and mouse, so it's easy to forget. I feel like it's a little easy to forget to check this, so let's do that first. Pretty sure we did that for these. Okay, we did. Okay, good. Let's go ahead and actually like listen in for it. So the tab, okay. Do we have to do anything extra here? No, we didn't. All we really had to do is just make sure this is checked to indicate that this is a keyboard and mouse control scheme. Okay, so that's for the change weapon. So that's how we do it for the key. Okay, but the point of the new input system is to include more control schemes. So let's add another binding. This time we're doing it for a gamepad. And let's set up a listener. The left shoulder on the Xbox controller. I guess you could do gamepad, but I like to be more precise. Alright, so I think that's pretty much everything we need in order to, as far as the basic input to action asset is concerned. So all we gotta do is save it, so we can I think it will actually create like an event for here. A slot where we can actually place that method. Okay, so it looks like we do have one here. Okay, cool. But the problem is we don't really have an event for it yet. So in the same manner we created events. We'll have to do the same thing here. So let's copy this here because it's the same exact setup here. All we need to do is make it public first of all, and then pass in the input action callback context. I don't know why this isn't working for me. Okay, so the question is, where do we go from here? We want to call it something that makes sense. I'll do, we already have a function name that switches guns, right? Let me just make sure we don't have a change weapon script or change weapon. Doesn't look like we do. Alright, that's good, because that's exactly what we're going to be using as the name of this method. I think that's an appropriate name. Wouldn't it be? Okay, so now it all comes down to like, we're going to take everything in here. So pretty much everything in here. There's a slim chance we might run into some weird behavior, but we won't know what exactly that weird behavior would be because we haven't ran into it yet. So I don't know what it would be, but let's just anticipate that we will, in fact, run into weird behavior. But and I think that's because context of perform. Okay, so we're actually checking to see. I have a feeling we might have to like wrap all this inside a context performed, because the old way we dashed, we were checking to see if it was pressed. What else in here is a button? Because these are vectors, so because we have a button, we have to see if the context itself was performed. So all this logic here has to be wrapped inside an if statement. Let's go in here. Okay. We don't really have any of these special cases here, so all we really need is this if stub. So I'm just gonna go ahead and like add that in here. Whether or not context matters because it might be a vector too, which you'll use to control your character's movements and whatnot. Or it might be a button within itself. So I'm just gonna go ahead and like copy everything in here. And just remove it from here because we don't want it to happen twice. So pretty much everything here can just not exist anymore. We'll comment it. We're not going to delete it. We'll just like comment it out. All this stuff here, we'll just leave. We're not going to delete any code. We'll just like comment it out just in case we make a mistake and we'll have to revert whatever we changed. Okay. Now all setting all this stuff up, all fine and dandy. Problem is, we have to tell our script specifically what the method is so that we can actually add it in. Okay, so the right one is this right here. Because this specifically has a button of its own, so it's always prudent to make sure you alter the right event slot. Okay, so we don't really have any object here, so we'll go ahead and select it here. Now, it doesn't necessarily know which object we're gonna modify, so we have to specify here. By the way, it's this one. So now it automatically detected the script. It's always like you have to like, so that's what an event specifically does. Okay, so I think we should be able to test this out now. And by the way, we use the left bumper on the controller. But let's test this out with the keyboard and mouse first. Make sure that works. Nothing's happening. By the way, did I add the right function? It could be possible that we don't really have a script. We don't really have any weapons for our current character. So I guess it is working, but we don't really have. Let me just make sure that's true. What I'm saying is actually true. And by the way, where would it be? Okay, we only have like one available gun. You know what? We'll just put a debug statement in here. This is definitely true. So, nothing's really happening. By the way, this is not really an error, it's just a warning. Let's see what else logs we have. We might have a log warning. Okay. Well, we don't want it in here. We want to put it in here. This really doesn't make a lot of sense because all it's really doing is setting it back to 0. But in our case right here, so right now it's 0, right? Now, what does switch guns do? This actually might set the value here. Oh, you know what? I could have easily checked here, but it really doesn't matter because we're already like deep into it. Alright, so let's tab. By the way, it's saying player only has one gun, so we want this to show up here. That's good. And by the way, available guns and the current gun, that's a private variable. We can't really see that in here in the inspector. So, what we do know for a fact is that it's definitely reaching this event handler. That's what I want to see. And it's actually, as long as that's true, as long as it knows it's actually like going to the right event, that's what matters right now. Okay. So yeah, now we've officially switched over, no pun intended, to the new input system. I say that's mission accomplished. Okay, so I think we So what else? Why is it telling me this? Which one though? Where are we getting these errors? I generally don't know. I feel like it's coming from somewhere. Oh, I think I know where. We might have like changed something while the script was running, and whenever that happens, usually you get an error. So that's not completely mysterious. But if it happens again after I hit play, then clearly something's happening. So nothing really, okay, yeah. So let's keep looking for the old input system. Because we don't want that showing up anywhere else. That's good. What's this? Oh, that's if you like go to a new player. I haven't really figured out how I want to handle this yet, or if I even want it. If I want to do it this way, so we might have to like do a design recap onto like how if we are gonna have multiple players, but like the question is, should we do a selector in the UI before a match starts, or should we do it like Halls of Torment, where you walk up to a character and select them? Or there's a bunch of other games that do this. I mean, I feel like either choice is fine. I just think this project specifically set up for the latter. But this is like something we'll have to talk about later on. But yeah, for the most part, I feel like we achieved pretty much everything we needed to. Because we switched over we switched over all the key components regarding the player to the new input system. So, and also we switched over the UI. So let's actually see where we are right now. This video will be available on YouTube. If you're watching this on YouTube, then I just confirmed what you already knew. Okay, so that's another thing. The only thing I want to do is change this. So obviously it's not going to be, they're not always going to be using a keyboard, or so we want to like dynamically switch the control schemes, like the icons of it. We dynamically switch the icons. That we're going to have to figure out how to do. I'm sure there's an easy way to do it. I just haven't really figured it out. We'll get there. Okay, so where do we go from here? What do I want? I mean, I feel like I've pretty much already accomplished what I wanted to, you know? So I'm not really sure. I don't really have anything else planned as far as what I want to do today. It's also a Saturday, so it's like I'm just want to play some Skyrim, you know? Because I had a pretty long week. Is there anything small we can accomplish? I having a hard time finding something that's small enough to accomplish. Hmm. I'm sure I'll come up with something. By the way, if you're watching this in the future, this is just me contemplating. I definitely have to look at how the UI works. But I don't know. I don't know. I feel like it's fine. But yeah, I mean, all the core crucial stuff is changed here, so that's good. All right, guys. I genuinely don't know what else to do right now because I haven't really thought this far. I'm sure I'll come, but I do want to like figure out how before I'm not gonna like code this up, but I'm just gonna like craft and design how to spawn enemies. Like, are they just gonna spawn out of thin air where the player can't see enemies spawning? Or are we gonna have like objects here? We're gonna do it in a more realistic way that shows enemies spawning. So instead of just popping out of nowhere, as if they teleported there, they'll actually like show up in a like it doesn't necessarily have to make the most sense, but at least you'll know, at least the player will be aware that they're not spawning out of nowhere. I'm kind of torn between those, honestly, and hopefully I'll have an answer by tomorrow. I'll think more about it though as I play Skyrim, which I'm definitely gonna do. We're gonna spend most of today just playing Skyrim. It's gonna be a silent. Sorry, it's gonna be a silent stream. Kind of feeling tired. Um, and really, silent streams are the best ways to expose to rejuvenate your mental health. Because the thing is, you're still playing video games, but you're not really like talking, and you're still recording it. You know. But that's my take on silent streams. They're a good way to like generate content while relaxing. All my Skyrim vids will be silent. Most of them anyway will be. Okay, where do we go from here? So I think we made significant progress, except for that one specific issue that I mentioned earlier. When you approach a player, the character selector, rather. It's too soon. Like I don't really know how I'm gonna do that. I still haven't figured that's a whole separate project within itself because I haven't really planned it out yet. So if I were going to change this on a whim, like I'm still not sure if I still want to, do I want to continue it this way, or do I want to like do a panel select from the UI? Like as soon as your match starts, well, you already have a character selected. So, by the way, in case you haven't figured it out, I'm going for an endless survival game. Well, that's not necessarily endless. Well, I guess it can be. At each wave, it's going to get tougher and tougher. So I guess the procedural aspect of this would be wave generation. So I have to figure. There are a lot of things I haven't really. I don't know how to do, but hopefully by the time I build it, like we're basically planning as we go along. That's what I'm trying to say here. Now, hopefully we'll have a good grasp on it. Okay, I babbled enough. Yeah, I'll please stay tuned for my Skyrim stream, which will happen in a couple of hours, and will be completely silent. So if that's your thing, then yeah, definitely tune in. If not, then no big deal. I will generally, yeah, that's all for today as far as game development goes. I'll be back tomorrow with more. Thanks for tuning in.